with a very special interaction with Zoho CEO Mani Vembu. Remember, the company is in focus after Union IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw stated earlier this week that he was shifting to Tamil Nadu-based Zoho software suite for preparing documents and presentations. Zoho, remember, is a homegrown corporation. It's one of India's most successful SaaS companies that's built out of India and has clocked more than $1 billion in annual revenue. In fact, it operates in multiple countries with offices including in the United States. Ashwini Vaishnaw's decision comes after a renewed push by the government of India to remain self-reliant in the backdrop of trade negotiations that India is currently having with the United States. And Zoho competes with Microsoft and Google, which are both US-based firms. Now, with the IT minister himself endorsing a homegrown technology company, the message is loud and clear, which is to reduce dependence on foreign-made software. So my colleague Jude Sanith caught up with the CEO of the company to speak about why the country needs more made-in-India companies that can be built in India but can serve the world. Here's a look at that conversation.
At first, it's a very happy moment for us because it's a big validation. So even though you have been having this software, which is focused on business, especially the Office suite, for so long, and seeing government endorsing it, and after using it, so that means it's not just trying it, so putting it to use. So that's a big news for us, and it's very happy for us.
Right. But I have to ask you, Mani, for the longest time now, so many of us in Chennai knew about Zoho, the work that you were doing in the SaaS ecosystem. In fact, many people even call Sridhar as the godfather of the SaaS ecosystem as far as India is concerned. But, in the days following the Union Minister's endorsement of Zoho itself, your head of marketing put out a video explainer saying, what is Zoho and what is it that we do and where are we from? I sometimes wonder, as a company that's been around for 2 decades and maybe more, do you sometimes struggle with the brand recall that comes with, ensuring that the company, its name and what it does stay in the minds and the general conscience of the public? And is correcting that and informing more on what it is that you do something that becomes all the more relevant now than before?
Yeah, see, if you look at our business, right, say we are doing, we are targeting businesses. So that means, from the beginning, so initially we focused on the telecom market. Then we had a IT management division, ManaEngine, which is even more, most of the businesses may not know because it's only for large businesses. And then Zoho is a common name actually in the business software world. Yes. So we do have 200,000 customers in India, but still our marketing efforts have been very targeted towards, areas of businesses where we have software for.
And I know for a fact that serving all needs, serving different business problems is something that you set out to do. In fact, Zoho One was launched keeping in mind this universal, holistic need. But where are some of the key opportunity areas for you, Mani, especially at this time and place when there is a push to go Swadeshi? Where do you feel there could be great business opportunities? Which specific areas?
So if you look at the communication space, say email and collaboration, there we are seeing a huge opportunity because both the internal communication and the external communication with the customers are very important for every business. And that means there is going to be a push, especially from the local tech. So that means we do have the offering now, and so that means there is going to be a huge opportunity in that space. And the other spaces are for example, in select segments of market. So already we see good traction in the BFSI space. We see good traction in the auto DMO space. So these are all the areas where we are already seeing good traction for our suite of products. And so the next is the finance, the accounting market is changing. So say for example, if new GST rules comes, then your accounting software has to be ready. So that means that space, the fintech is changing, so there are a lot of innovation happening there. So we see a good opportunity there too.
Right. And you talk about there will be place for everyone to grow, no doubt. But correct me if I'm wrong, but for the longest time, a lot of our tech was very overseas driven. A lot of the American tech giants, kind of ruled the roost when it came to options that we would have when it came to problem solving. Then, of course, the SaaS boom meant that right here in Chennai, you had several solid products and services being built across the board, starting, of course, with Zoho, but mushrooming into other names as well. Do you feel there is the right kind of tech supply, so to speak, insofar as filling that gap is concerned? Especially given that the government is talking about this Swadeshi push. Yes, Zoho has been doing great work for more than 2 decades now. But does the overall ecosystem have what it takes to actually go about filling this gap, Mani?
So see, if you look at the overall ecosystem, yes, there are still, there is a need for a lot more players to come in and play in different sectors. But see, what I feel is, like, say, it's also, like, say, the ecosystem that has to build organically. That means, right, say, the awareness have to come. So, see, when we started 30 years before, there was no product company here. So we started, and now you know, like, say, how many companies are there in Chennai.
Right.
So that means it's the building the ecosystem takes time. So, and that's why we are going rural now, where we want to create an ecosystem there. So, and I think, right, so it's a matter of, like, say, 10, 20 years, we are going to have enough supply. So internally, so we are going to have, see the lot more players coming in. Already I see that lot of good ideas have been, right? A lot of startups are working on a lot of good ideas. And so they all will realize their dream, say, in the coming years. And as the government is also pushing for Atmanirbhar, then that means, like, it's only going to accelerate.
Right. And I know for a fact that you are very optimistic, and I recall our last conversation as well when we spoke at great lengths about this. But the one big uncertainty that stares us, and when I say us, I also mean the SaaS ecosystem, in the face, is the looming threat of AI. And I use the word threat largely because a lot of experts have spoken about how AI is all set to change the very SaaS game itself. So even while there's been so much talk about Indian SaaS players, Swadeshi technology taking over at this time and place, how much of a disruptor do you see AI being to this process? The last time we spoke, you talked about how AI could actually give a reality check to valuations insofar as the SaaS ecosystem is concerned. But are there other challenges and headwinds too that native players in tech, in SaaS, could actually go about encountering on account of the AI boom?
See, what we believe is, like, say, AI is going to be an enabler. That means, like, say, if you look at the PC to cloud and mobile, the adoption has accelerated. So today we order our food, right? So everything we do through our mobile, and everyone uses tech, software, but we are only mere users of the tech. So most of us are just the users of tech. And the AI is going to enable more and more creators. So already we are seeing it, right? So content creators or video editing, right? So all those are becoming easier. Same way, the programming itself is going to become easier. Because there are still a lot of use cases there is no tech for it. Because the whole software is really still complex to make, to build, to host, to deploy, right? So it requires some sort of skills. And being a low-code native company, so we have a lot of low-code tools with our platforms. We know, like, say, how much low-code has enabled this. So from purely developer-driven deployments, now low-code has enabled, like, say, business teams to get onboarded on technology faster. And AI is going to accelerate this even further. And that means, like, say, we see, like, say, AI is only a multiplier, it's going to be a multiplier. And it's going to enable more and more people to be creators. So, and say how YouTube has created a, scale of creators, content creators, right? Same way, like, say, this AI will create, like, say, a lot more, say, application creators or, like, say, problem solvers.
Absolutely, right? So, democratizing the problem-solving space.
Exactly.
And in terms of getting work done faster. But I also think back to the whole AI productivity game. In fact, I recently spoke to Zoho CEO, Sailesh Dave, who told me that AI-driven productivity may have been overstated in certain circles. A lot of talk was there about 10x productivity growth by way of AI, whereas what Sailesh told me was that within Zoho itself, you're seeing, a marginal increase, about 35 to 45% spike, but definitely not the big 5x, 10x growth by way of productivity that was initially projected by the overall industry by way of the impact that AI could have. Do you feel that perhaps giving a bit more credit to AI than we ought to be doing in the first place?
Yeah, see, currently definitely, right? Say, because there is a lot of excitement towards trying it. So when we try it first, so we all feel like, oh, okay, it's going to boost the, right? Say, for example, you build a app, a prototype, then it comes, boom, right? Say, fast. But then you have to put it for production. That's where the actual work comes in, right? So And that means like say there, and we all read it now, right? Say the studies are coming up with like say what is the real impact of AI. So even for the developers, for all the other professions. So there is going to be like say in consumer side, it's a real game changer. That means right, say there are a lot of usage on the consumer side. But in the business, since the business data is like say within the network, so and data are siloed, so it is actually the implementation time takes longer. So our experience is like right, the time to market is longer, and that's why there are like say protocols like MCP that is coming where it tries to liberate the data, but still it is like say in the very early stage. So the maturity will take some more time, and that is the time where we also have to adopt. Like right, so every one of us will get to adopt AI, and then we make ourselves more productive, and in the process we become a creator, and right, say we start to create more and more. That's how I see that.
And you talk about the time to mature and the time to adapt and adopt as well. What kind of timelines are we looking exactly, Mani?
So it depends on the use case. Say suppose you just want to do a summarization of something, then it's straightforward. You just put it on use, it will do that. But if you want to do some trend analysis where it needs a lot of data to be trained, and right, so you have a lot of internal data you need to feed in, then the whole right, so it takes a little longer because you have to first give the data, make sure that the knowledge is there, for the make sure the guardrails are there, so that right, so the hallucinations are minimized. So all those actually takes a little longer time.
Right. So even as we're talking about AI itself, you were recently in the news, of course, and we spoke on the day you launched Zoho's first LLM. A very big step, no doubt, for a SaaS company that is also at a very transitional stage by way of technology itself and the role that AI plays in it. What else is in the product pipeline? What is exactly Zoho looking at as far as AI is concerned in the near to medium future?
Yeah, see, now we are looking at, say, how do we increase adoption for ZI LLM? So we are looking for use cases where it can be plugged in as default, and we are already testing it out with few use cases, and we are looking at making sure that right, the use cases are increased. So that means like say we provision ZI LLM for more and more use cases, and how do we make it efficiently, right? So that's the current focus. And so as like say we do a lot of R&D projects, so and some things will mature sooner, something could take longer, but until it matures, like right, say we wait for us to see the results before we go and announce, right? So that's where we are in. So we are doing a lot of R&D projects.
Two very important questions I'm sure most of our viewers would be very interested in knowing. I understand you are not a listed company. You have ruled out any possibility of an IPO. I know you've been asked that questions many times over. But simply in terms of growth, what's the growth outlook like in terms of, I know for a fact that despite the blip, the company has been seeing consistent growth over the years. Where do you go from here on the growth front, Mani?
See, we are seeing, like, say, last year in Zoho, we had, like, say, 35% growth or something. And we see that kind of growth to continue. And so globally, we are seeing, like, say, in the developing countries, we are going faster. So, and we hope we continue to see that same acceleration. And see, with respect to growth, it's always like, say, we only control one portion of growth. That means our execution. But then there is, like, say, other portions, like, right, say, market situation and economy, and right, so a lot of other things are there. And so we just, right, say, we focus on our execution. We will try to do what best we could do. And rest we leave it to the market and customers.
Absolutely. And in keeping with those geopolitical uncertainties as well, there's been so much apprehension over how growth could be, especially with regard to the duty situation, the levies that you're seeing, the tariffs as well. There's been so much talk about tariffs being levied on services, but you also have local teams in the multiple countries that you actually operate in. So a lot of the geopolitical risks you may actually have been insulated to, in a sense. So covering all bases insofar as the international markets and growth there are concerned? Yeah,
so we are growing at a healthy rate, and and our customers' growth are very, very good. So because we look at the growth at the customer and usage growth, so both are accelerating, and our revenue growth is also really good, and we continue to see that. We don't see any slowdown in any of the markets we operate in, and so we hope that will continue.
With that, it's time for us to slip into a very short commercial break, but lots more coming up on the other side. You don't go anywhere.
that the flagship sales from the biggest e-commerce companies of the country have begun, which initially started for their loyalty members and then extended to all their user base. We are here joined by Saurabh Srivastava, the Vice President at Amazon India, to understand what the first 48 hours of the Great Indian Festival looked like for Amazon India, where the majority of demand has come from. Welcome, Saurabh, on the show. Between Great Indian Festival 2024 and 2025, what's the growth looking like in terms of order volumes and user visits on the platform?
Yeah, it's been very exciting start for us. Our Amazon Great Indian Festival started on September 23rd, and for Prime members, they had 24 hours early access. We are overwhelmed with the response. 38 crore customer visits happened in the first 48 hours, and there more than 70% of the customers that came were from outside top 9 metro cities. So it's across India. We are seeing very strong response, and it is very widespread and very, I would say, broad based, and a very large response. 38 crore customer visits.
Right, so you've seen a broad-based demand, but if you could zoom in a little bit to understand what kind of categories are seeing the most demand, given that there were GST rate cuts that also came in, which must have, pushed certain categories, and additionally any geographies that a large amount of demand came from, any new trends that actually surprised you?
See, there was something that was expected. So the categories where we had the GST reduction, that are seeing very strong demand. So appliances and fashion and beauty and health and personal care, they are seeing very strong demand. We are also seeing very strong participation from our Prime members. So highest ever number of Prime members shop in that Prime early access. And in terms of geographical, I mean, it's as I said, it's very broad based. So if you look at, because all the offers come to us from the sellers, almost two-thirds of the sellers that we have who got sale, and many of them got sales that were like 3 times of their average to 10 times of their average. Those sellers come from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So it is the seller base is very wide and the customer base is all very wide, and it's across. So if you look at Indore and Visakhapatnam and Lucknow and Rajkot and Faridabad, it's across. So it's not just in any specific geographical area that is concentrated in.
Right. Of course, the GST benefits were also called out on the platform as well. But are you going to be pushing these products with GST benefits specifically on the platform? And do you think that a large part of the demand this time around actually came by way of the GST cuts being combined with the heavy discounting that happens? And so do you expect that the demand for these products will continue to be high even after the high discounting sale period ends at that time as well?
I think so. First, your question, yes, we are actually making it possible both on the seller side and customer side for sellers to actually take advantage of these new GST codes and rates. So on the back end, we have done a lot of work so that sellers can easily identify the new GST codes and apply it correctly to their products. So that we have done a lot of. We have done a lot of master classes. We have facilitated so that they can, because Amazon has a very large selection, crores of products. So how do sellers take all their catalog and apply the right GST code so that they can give advantage to the customers? On the customer side, we have created the GST Bachat Utsav. It's a dedicated storefront on which customers can come and shop for those products that have GST benefits. You are right that during Amazon Great Indian Festival, obviously sellers offer a lot of exciting deals and offers. That has happened every year. This year, both of those things have combined that has made it even bigger deal, or I would say even more attractive for the customers customers to shop. So the spike that you are seeing is a result of both these waves coming together. And to answer you whether it will continue, obviously it will continue. That's why we run the event for a longer duration so that customers can take benefit of this, throughout the festive season. So we will run this event. It's just that in the beginning, there is a lot more focus on, I would say, large ticket size items. So your air conditioners, large screen TVs, and washing machines and smartphones get more focus and more demand. And as the event progresses, and as the now we just launching our Dashera store.
Right, this was also the first festive sale for Amazon now, the quick commerce vertical. In the few cities that you are live in, what kind of month-on-month growth are you seeing since the launch?
That's a good question. So we are now live in pin codes, select pin codes of Bangalore, Delhi, and Bombay, and we are seeing very encouraging results. You asked about month on month. In Bangalore, for example, we are seeing 25% month-on-month growth. Prime customers are loving it. So we have seen that our prime customer frequency, the frequency with which they shop, they already shop with a high frequency with Amazon. That frequency has become 3 times after the launch of Amazon now. So it is really driving that flywheel that we care about. And there's some light fluctuation. And then in terms of we already have 100 micro fulfillment centers, 100 plus micro fulfillment center, and given the adoption that we are seeing, we'll continue to add a lot more of them at a very fast speed. As I previously had said, that we'll launch them as fast as we can, and make sure that customers have access to this minutes delivery.
Right, of course. And finally, Saurabh, this was the first festive season where you've introduced the marketplace fee of ₹5. Have you seen any negative impact on that on order volume, since this has been very recently introduced and for the first time on Amazon?
See, marketplace fee is something that industry norm. I think Amazon was probably the last one to really implement that. Customers have already understood this. I would say in this case, some of the marketplaces have taken a lead and they introduced it first. But customers do understand why these fees are charged, and we are very transparent about it, right? We tell upfront this is the fee, why we have to put this small fee to make sure everything that gets done to take care of the customer, and we have not seen any negative impact of that. It's something that customers do understand, given all the investment that are made to make sure that customer can get doorstep delivery.
Right, of course, marketplace fee is becoming an industry standard. With that, thank you so much, Saurabh, for joining us on the show. And to all our viewers, that's all we have for you on this edition of Startup Central. Thank you so much for tuning in, and keep watching ET Now.